Okay.
Winter has come,
Yes.
and it is time to start planning our January to May trip.
If you didn't know, Wade and I are planning to head away from the snow. Not that we mind the snow. We did a lot of hiking in the winter last year. And we're heading to south. We want to use our van. We want to get into our Sprinter van and live in it for how many months did you say? 4 months?
For about 4 months, I think we're going to be
Yeah,
gone.
we'll
4 to
do
5,
it.
somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So our plan, what we want to do is share with you our thought process, where we're going to go, how we're planning our trip, what we're using, and then go from there. I'm Wade.
I'm Lorraine.
And we are on the off ramp.
Yeah. So, yeah, we have several apps. We watch a lot of YouTube videos. In fact, we watch a lot of YouTube videos. So we have some favorite channels we follow.
Learning from others, seeing what they do, what they did right, what they did wrong.
We get lots of recommendations through that on apps that we can use. And one that we're going to use for this trip to really get into the details of it is called
RV Trip Wizard.
Yeah.
And with the RV Trip Wizard, you plan your route and you actually put in the size of your machine. So with our van, it's 21 feet long, it's 9.5 feet high. We put that in there, we put those dimensions into the app, and it will actually route us around if there's any tunnels or narrow roads or
places that we shouldn't get
places
to.
that we shouldn't get to. So
not as a huge of a concern for our van, but if people are driving big rigs, that would be a great
that's
tool.
right. So we're going to show you how we use RV Trip Wizard and how we plan our trip.
So we've downloaded it a while ago. It also offers an app, I believe, and I think the app is actually called RV Life.
Yes.
So we have the same sign-in for both. Wade uses his laptop to do the exploring and to check it out, and so we're going to use that to get us into the first few weeks of planning. And we're not sure. We're not sure how detailed does one plan for this kind of a trip. Do we want to wing it and hope we can find places?
Okay, so we are planning our first trip down south for winter camping, and we'll be using RV Trip Wizard camping app that we have found, and wonderful camping app. What it lets us do is when we create a new trip, we're going to call it Winter RV Trip, and we're going to be leaving on January the 16th or so, somewhere around there, and we're going to start in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Start there. So it's preparing the trip. So here's what we can all do with this Trip Wizard. And the Trip Wizard is wonderful for planning RV trips because you can move all that data over to Google Maps. Okay, so under General, Winter RV Trips, what we're going to call it. We don't need a pre-departure email because we are going to remember this trip. And we're going to calculate units in Imperial because we're going to be in States, and they do not have metric. RV info, our RV is 10 feet high, and our length is 21 feet, and our weight is 8,550 pounds. We are carrying propane. Diesel type is fuel. We can take 25 gallons of fuel. Reserve is, well, there's really no reserve on there. And fuel economy is about 20 miles a gallon. It's probably higher. It's more like 25 or 26, so we'll put 25 in there. All right, and then we have one fuel warning. Route and driving. We'll go to the top here. So RV routing, we're going to avoid tolls as much as possible. We will not avoid highways. We will not avoid ferries. We will not avoid tunnels, nor will we avoid unpaved roads. And average driving speed of 55 miles per hour. And advanced driving radius, that shows us campgrounds within the radius that we will be driving to our destination. And we can change how that is set up. And then we can also break down our expenses as well. So if we're saying an average of $40 a night camping and an average of $4 per gallon per fuel. Now camping is going to really vary because we have a few different things planned. Okay, then at that point, then we will save trip settings. So here's the thing, with planning this route, with using RV Trip Wizard, because we've put in the amount or the size of our RV, it will actually lead us past or around areas where our RV will not fit. So let's say there's a tunnel or a bridge that has a height of under 10 feet. It will actually route us around that. It will find a different route. So that is one of the advantages of using this Trip Wizard. And then of course the other is that you can then transfer everything over to Google Maps as well too. Okay, starting point is Winnipeg, and we are going to be heading to Tyler, Texas. That is our first stop. So we're going to type in Tyler, Texas. We don't have the exact address just yet. When we do, we'll place the exact address in here, and that'll lead us right to the destination. And we can edit this as we go along. So Tyler, Texas. Once we get there, we're going to be there for about 18 nights or so, something like that. And I have no comments at this point yet. We can just say YWAM. We're going to be working for Youth with a Mission. Lorraine is going to be working with the school there, helping the teachers out with some educational learning stuff. And I'll be working on the yard, mowing lawn, and I'll also be doing some photos for them as well too for their website. And we save custom stop. So that trip is 1,421 miles, almost 26 hours of driving. So we're going to want to make some stops in between. We are thinking our first stop will probably be Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And again, there we'll be staying in a hotel because it will not be camping weather when we get there. Well, we're not expecting anyway. So from Sioux Falls, and in Sioux Falls we're going to spend one night in a hotel. And we'll say the custom stop. And then from here I can drag that in between. And now it's from Winnipeg to Sioux Falls to Tyler, Texas. And again, once we get to we'll book our hotels ahead of time, and we won't head downtown. We'll head it on one of the side, on the main I-29. We'll just find a hotel and stay there. After Sioux Falls, the next stop we'll make is probably Topeka, Kansas. Now that may change, again, depending on the weather and depending on how the ride is going to be. We'll spend one night in this location, and again in a hotel. And then I can take it and I can drag it in between Tyler and Sioux Falls. So now I can show the entire trip, and from Winnipeg to Sioux Falls to Topeka, Kansas, and then to Tyler, Texas. And each time I click on our location, so if I go show entire trip, it will show us campgrounds within that whole region. We can vary the size of this map as well too. So this is kind of how we're going to be planning our trip, and just a rough way. After Tyler, Texas, we'll be heading to, I think, San Antonio. Apparently I cannot type. San Antonio, Texas. And when we get there, we'll find a campground ahead of time, but we want to stay there for 3 nights just to do some of the touristy things in that area. And then after San Antonio, we want to head to Padre Island. Let's see, Padre Island National Seashore. And probably Malachite Beach is where we'll probably want to stay. We'll be camping right on the beach, here's our plan. And we hope to be there for about 4 nights probably. And again, we will be adjusting the trip because we do have a schedule that we'll have to meet somewhere down the road. So this is how we continue to do it. After that, we're going to head to, I don't even know where we're heading after this. But this is how we kind of get started. This is how we plan our trip. And then what we'll do is we'll start figuring out the exact days. So here it tells us, for instance, that we're leaving Winnipeg on the 16th. We're leaving Sioux Falls. We'll be at Sioux Falls on the 16th. We'll be at Topeka, Kansas on the 17th. And Tyler, Texas by the 18th. It might be by the 19th. We'll see. We'll see what the roads are like. And then in San Antonio, we'll probably be there actually on a Sunday, not on a Saturday. We'll probably leave on a Sunday. So then what I would do is go here to Tyler, Texas, edit it, and just extend our night by 19 nights there, because we'll be there for 2 weeks. So over the weekend, and then we'll get there before as well too. So then at that point we get to San Antonio, Texas on a Sunday night. We'll spend 3 nights there, and then from there we'll head over to Malachite Beach and Padre Island. So here we have some of our driving times. Winnipeg to Sioux Falls will be 8.5 hours. Sioux Falls to Topeka will be 6 hours, and then from Topeka to Tyler, 11 hours. So we may make another stop in between here, or change this, but there's not too many major cities that we can stop in with hotels, so we'll have to visit that. Then from Tyler, Texas, so if we've been there for 2 weeks, we'll head to San Antonio, Texas. It's 6 hours, and then from San Antonio to Corpus Christi and Padre Island National Seashore, and that'll be 3 hours. So this is how we plan our trip.
Okay, so far we've planned a trip from Winnipeg to Tyler, Texas, to San Antonio, to Padre Island National Seashore, to Del Rio, I think is our first stop, and then Big Bend National Park, and then from Big Bend National Park to Las Cruces, New Mexico. We'll spend a few nights there because there's a park there called the White Sands National Park or State Park, I can't remember, we'll have to check into that. Then from there to Tucson, Arizona, and then up to the Phoenix area, Mesa, Phoenix, and then from there to Sedona.
We'll head to Sedona, Flagstaff area, explore there.
And then down to Joshua Tree.
Yeah, and that's where we've stopped planning so far.
So that's our plan for today. We will be doing a lot of fine tuning on these plans as well too, because we have to find the campgrounds where we want to stay. A lot of them are free, so we'll find some Bureau of Land Management places and we'll stop there for free.
So yeah, the Trip Wizard will give us some indication of places to stay. Another thing we've joined is Harvest Host, and that allows us to stay like on wineries or farmyards. So when we do that one night overnight stay, that's the kind of place that is.
Yeah,
we're really not planning to do a Walmart stay.
No.
There's so much other options out there. So right now anyway, or at least we believe so.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's no quick stopovers where we're going to just stay for a couple hours, stop and then go again. So
another app that we're using is Campendium, and that too gives us a really good indication of places to camp, free or otherwise. And the other thing it does is dumping stations.
Yes.
That's the one that...
Yes, dumping stations, and we'll be passing by enough state parks that we should have enough dumping stations, but water refills and dumping stations as well.
We have to be very conscious of that.
That's right.
Especially if we're going to be parking in places where we have no hookup, then we have to know where we'll be able to stop. Flying J's, gas stations have those things. So
we're going to stop here for now. Our next episode, we're going to show a bit more detailed plans, traveling up the Pacific Coast Highway, and some of the places that we'll be stopping in between. So until then, we know too now there's new variants coming out with COVID, the Omni, whatever it's called, the one from South Africa, and so we do want to be aware of the fact that plans could change. We are
being very conscious of the fact that COVID is still very much out there. We believe that in our van and the way we're traveling, we're not shoppers, we're not going to spend a lot of time in public.
That's right.
Or crowded places. So we're hoping that, we're keeping our health and other people's health in mind.
Relatively safe at that point.
Yeah.
We do have to be aware of our surroundings. We do have to be careful still. Mm-hmm. We will have our booster shot at that point as well too. So that'll give us a little bit more comfort there. But again, there's no guarantees, right? So
whether we're home or away, really.
Yeah.
So therefore, we know to hold our plans loosely.